So today's video is going to be a ranking of the 2023 shows I saw. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. So just like the last tier list, I'm going to keep things fairly simple with just the standard S through F, and once again, I am going to go in the watch order that I viewed these in. Definitely was a lot more focused on movies last year. As you can see, I only have half the amount of shows as I did movies. And just shows they take up a lot more time, so I definitely didn't get through all the ones I wish I could have, especially Loki season 2. Everyone's saying that that was really good and I need to go watch it, so I'll try to get around to it at some point, but I definitely didn't get through it during 2023, so I just can't add it onto this list. So, yeah, here are the 12 shows I saw in 2023, and I'm just gonna go through and rank them for you. So, Last of Us was the first one I got around to seeing. That one is an A tier for me. I haven't played any of the games, so I didn't really know a whole lot of like background on the story itself, except for that like it was a zombie show like The Walking Dead. That's really all I knew about it. But I loved Pedro Pascal's performance in this was very well done, and just the story itself I enjoyed. Not quite an S tier for me, but definitely in terms of like dystopian apocalyptic type stuff, this was a very good show. So it's an A tier for me. Moving on to another A tier show for me was Outer Banks season 3. I'm just going to put it below Last of Us for now because I wasn't a big fan of John B's dad throughout this season. Like it didn't feel right that they brought him back. It just didn't really make sense to me at all. And I didn't like what they did with Sarah halfway through this show. It's not the show, sorry, the season. Like they have her cheat on John B with Topper, and I just wasn't a big fan of it. Like I thought she got over that in season 2, so it didn't really make sense for her to go back and do it again. It just felt weird to do that. I loved every single thing they did with both JJ and Kiara in this season. Though that was definitely the highlight of the season. But like I'm kind of glad they're trying to go into a different direction with season 4 because it kind of felt repetitive. Like every single season, oh, they try to find some gold related treasure. Great. Like it's getting a little too repetitive at this point, so I hope that they do something different with the fourth season, but Thursday wasn't necessarily bad, but definitely not one of the stronger seasons, but it's still one of my favorite shows, so I can't put it below the 8 here. Moving on to the Bad Batch season 2, I'm going to put this in the B tier. It was okay, but the filler that they had was not very good. Like, if you have to have filler in a show, that's fine, but at least make the filler interesting. Like, they had some, like, pod race again with, like, tech. And I was going like, I don't know why they're doing this, like for money, I guess, but like, it just didn't really make sense to me. And just any of the other filler episodes, I wasn't a big fan of. The story in itself was pretty good, and every episode with Crosshair, I absolutely loved. Especially, I believe episode 3 and maybe 12. I don't know if it was 12 or 13, but whatever episode where you have Crosshair and Mayday on that snowy planet, that was an amazing episode. So, yeah, anyway, that's a B tier. Moving on to The Night Agent, I'm going to put this one in the S tier. Absolutely love this show. Favorite Netflix show of this year. And just everything they did action wise was great, compelling story, and this is exactly what I'm looking for when I want to see a political thriller. Just everything going on in the White House, outside the White House, all the different plots are going at the same time, no filler. Just everything. This is exactly what I want to see in a show where you don't have any filler that's wasting time. Everything's moving forward. Good, compelling characters. Just everything worked, and I loved it. So it's an S tier. Now going from that, we have The Flash season 9, and this is an absolute F. Oh my goodness, I don't know what they were doing with this season. I don't think it needed a season 9, this show. I really don't think it needed it. Except for like closing off. Like episode 9 was a good episode, and episode 8 was okay. Like the crossover and the final episode with Reverse Flash. and The Flash together. Those were a couple of good episodes. Every other episode was so bad. Like, you have one called The Good, the Bad, and the Lucky, I think. That one was weird. It wasn't at all needed. They had oh, I can't remember. Red Death. They had Red Death where they tried to make like copy like the I am vengeance line from the 2022 Batman movie. That was brutal. And the final episode they brought back all the old villains and they were all taken out by like the most mediocre heroes ever. Like there is no reason why Cecile should be strong enough to take out Godspeed. That makes no sense at all. And the fact that you have Caitlyn pretty much not in the show after Cisco already left in season 7. Just like you're taking out two of the three main like trilogy characters, or not trilogy. I don't know, the main trio. You only have Barry left after that, so it's just like I don't know. This season was just horrible. Yeah, they had 2 decent episodes out of 13 or 12. I don't know. Yeah, 2 out of 12, I believe. It was just not good at all. Anyway, moving on, we got Superman and Lois season 3. I'm gonna put this one at the bottom of the A tier. I don't know what's going on with my mouse right now. Anyway, yeah, we've got bottom of the A tier for Superman and Lois season 3. Another good season from the show. This is my personal favorite DC show. They haven't had a poor season yet, and what they did with Lex Luthor, Bruno Mannheim, and Doomsday, like all these characters were very well done, and I liked what they did with Doomsday at the very end, where like it didn't make sense that Superman could just beat him easily. Like they made him like an actual like big threat that caused a lot of problems for him in the finale, and we don't really know where they're going with season 4, which is kind of nice. But just and the only thing I didn't really like about the show was when they recast Jonathan Kent. I know, of course, they can't deal with like if you have an actor that no one wants to play the role. I don't really know what the trauma was behind them recasting that character, but didn't really like the new actor for him. At least not as much as I did the old actor. But I don't know. I didn't really have any big problems with this show. Just wasn't like one of the absolute top ones of the year for me, but still very good. So I'm gonna keep it in the A tier. Secret Invasion. I wish I could put it higher than this, but this is a D tier. The first episode was amazing. I was so happy with it because it's kind of like I want to see what in the world would happen if just like all these people that you thought were humans weren't. Like you had a couple of different agents just in there that you don't even know how long they were scrolls. Like it was just like it was a pure mystery, and like within the first 5 minutes, you had like some high stakes chase just like out of nowhere. So like this is exactly what I want to see in Marvel. But then after episode 2, everything just went so downhill. Like they brought no Avengers in. I was kind of like, I would love to see an actual like big time Avenger as a scroll. The only one they had was Rhodey, but the reveal was like so delayed. Like you already knew it was a scroll so early on, and then just like the reveal is like, oh, let's just wipe this off the mirrors. So like, okay, like no music or anything, just in the scene. It's like, okay, this is like such a mediocre reveal. Like what? Like this isn't any some big reveal. It's just there, and just the final fight between Gravik and oh, I can't remember whatever Talos's daughter's name is. It was like why in the Gaia? There we go. I remembered her name. Why in the world was that a thing? I don't know. That was just horrible. Like you've now just ended a show with a character with every single Avengers power, or not every single, but close to every Avengers power. Like it's absolutely unstoppable. So like that just makes no sense to me. Like it's like you don't do that because then it just makes them too overpowered, and then what do you do with them after that point? Because there's no reason for them to ever be taken down. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan of that, and the only decent moment after episode 2 was Talos's death, but everything else after episode 2 was just not good at all. So unfortunately, it had to be in the D tier. I wanted to put it higher, but just it ended off so poorly. Next, I have Citadel. This is probably the show I remember the least about. I think it's a character named Mason Kane that like forgets what he does. I don't know. It was an okay action show, but I didn't really like any of the actors, to be honest. Like I don't know. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. I'm gonna put it in the C tier, like just mid. Like it was okay, but I can't really remember a whole load from it. And like the action, I think the couple they had good, like a couple of good action scenes. I think there's one thing where like he's skiing down a hill while shooting like snow machines or something. I don't know. I really can't remember much at all from this show, but I wasn't a huge fan of the actors, but it was okay. So it's a C tier. Next, I have Murdoch Mysteries season 16. I don't know how in the world this show is still going. Like, it's not bad, but like, it's getting really repetitive at this point. I'm gonna also put in the C tier, but I'm gonna put it above Citadel because at least like there are a couple of things that were good about it, and it ended off fairly good. It's like okay, there's actually something leading on to the next season, so it's like okay, we're actually waiting to figure out something because like they were kidnapped him and Dr. Ogden, so it wasn't bad. It was just like another mid season. Like I think I need to end the show off sometime soon because it's getting a little too repetitive, but wasn't too bad. So I'm gonna keep it in the C tier. Next we have Special Ops Lioness. I am going to put this here, I think. Yeah. Another very good action show. Loved the two main leads of Zoe. Oh gosh, I've forgotten her last name. But yeah, just I like the first two actresses in this movie. Oh my goodness, I'm talking too much. Anyway, yeah, they were fairly okay, and the show was fairly good. Good action scenes, couple of very good emotional moments, and yeah, it was okay. It was pretty good action show, but not too much to say about it. Moving on, we have got Mandalorian season 3. Now, this one I am going to put here at the top of the C tier. I was expecting a little more from this show, and the reason why I don't think it did too well was that they brought this character back in the Book of Boba Fett show, which I don't think was a good move because, of course, like he added to that show, then it meant that like going into this show, like everything that you were like wanting to see resolved was already resolved in the other show. Like you have at the end of season 2, you've got Grogu leaving with Luke and Mando inheriting the dark saber and like what in the world to do with it. Outside like dark saber wasn't really resolved in the other show, but like the main reason why the finale for season 2 was so good was because Grogu left Mando. So it's like, okay, let's see Mando on his own again. But then Grogu was just back with him at the start of the season. So like, okay, well it felt unneeded. So it just kind of I don't know decreased the starting value of it, and it was okay. But I think there's a little too much focus on Bo Katan. It was definitely a good ending, and I especially liked the final fight scene between Mando, Bo, and Moff Gideon, and also Paz Vizsla's sacrifice was a fairly good scene. So it wasn't horrible, but definitely out of the Mandalorian seasons, it was the weakest. So I kind of keep it in the C tier. Finally, moving on to the Ahsoka show. I need to stop talking, so we're gonna try to get through this last one quickly. Um, I'm gonna put this one here, bottom of the B tier. It was okay, but I don't know. I was expecting more from it in a way. Yeah, like episode 5 was very good about seeing like Ahsoka and her connection with Anakin and being in the world between worlds. But the first episode already had me feeling a bad feeling, like having Sabine stabbed through the chest again, like what they did with Rise of Skywalker. Or not, was Rise of Skywalker? Yeah, Rise of Skywalker, where just like someone just stabbed through the chest and oh, fine. It was like she wasn't even force sensitive, so like it just makes even less sense what they did with Rise of Skywalker. So it was just like that already has me on a bad tone. Yeah. It was an okay Star Wars show, but I really was expecting more, so I can't put it above the B tier, but yeah, it was okay. Anyway, yeah, this is the list I've got for the shows. I wish I could have delved more onto them, but I haven't seen some of these in so long, and a lot of them were more forgettable than I would have liked. So, but yeah, this is my list. Hope you guys have yourself a good day.